What's the most interesting revelation you've had about the opposite sex? Number 1. Marbled Prime says, "Nuts move all on their own. Like the skin flexes and shifts and like crawls up and down twitching." I read it on Reddit, called bullshit and went and inspected the spouse. I was very, very surprised. I learned it in the last few years. I'm not a young person. Liquid Liam replied, "Put your phone torch on the other side for a fun lava lamp experience." Number 2. The Lonely Scientist says, "It's all fun and games until you put her favorite bra in the dryer, even accidentally." Number 3. Kaji Hanada 82 says, "How wet she is can be totally unrelated to how horny she is." CHFJCY replied, "Also, birth control can prevent a woman from being able to get wet. So, she might be horny as hell but she simply won't get wet." We sometimes forget how complex we are. Small changes in mood, levels of tiredness, and even incidents that happen during the day can have an effect on our own or even our partner's eagerness for frisky time. Don't take it personally. Always be open to discuss and create a safe space to share and learn about each other's intricacies. Number 4. Sam 1990 says, "I was 16 to 17 when I found out periods happen over time. Not an instant gush of blood that comes out at some random point over a 1-week time period. I blame adverts for panty liners where they poured all the blue liquid out at once." Lonnie Popper Bedham replied, "I mean, sometimes if you sneeze it can come out like the ads show." Number 5. Killer Goose says, "As a dude I grew my hair really long and the amount of hair I had to pull out of my butt while showering was shocking. Crazy that so many long-haired ladies had been pulling hair out their butts most their lives." Are You Beast replied, "As a dude married to a woman with long hair, it's crazy how much hair I pull out of my butt." Number 6. Quarter Life 94 says, "That they don't care much about our flaws like we think." Salzberger replied, "Woman, oh God, I'm getting naked. He's going to hate my saggy boobs, my weird tummy, my stretch marks. Oh no, is he staring at my butt because he hates it? Man, I can't believe I get to have sex with this girl." Number 7. Tony Stark says, "I learned on Reddit that they don't stick those pad things to themselves. Mind blown. They stick it to their underwear. I guess it's obvious in hindsight." Too Fetch to Function replied, "DIY Brazilian." Number 8. Truly Freely says, "That nothing stands the test of time in a relationship more than kindness. It can't be faked long term. It's literally the most important quality in a mate." Haunting Midnight 83 replied, "My husband was working out of town for a few months, but home on weekends. He bought a desk file holder. Every Monday before he left, we wrote one card for each day of the week with romantic song lyrics. He's always been ridiculously kind to me and so loving, but that felt profound. Him taking the time to write the cards, buying that holder, and setting it up weekly was so thoughtful. I've started buying flowers for him fairly often and leaving cards around for him to find. We always grab water for the other person if we're second to go to bed. He presets the coffee pot for me because I wake up very early for work. He randomly resupplies my conditioner when he sees that it's getting low, etc. It's the little things that really add up. That and being generally considerate of each other. I've learned to appreciate these qualities so much as I grow older and observe other relationships." Number 9. Cupie Doopy Pants says, "Their pants don't have a waist size and leg length. Just an arbitrary number. The fuck is a size 3? Edit, I had no idea a size 3 was tiny. It was the first number that popped into my head." Jack of Scarlet's replied, "A size 3 is a really easy way to hide the fact that they're making these clothes with really bad measurement margin. Don't get me wrong, putting actual measurements doesn't prevent this. I have many pairs of shorts that are all the one size in inches, but some fit and some don't. But still, it's one thing for me to say is this or is this not 40 inches, and another thing for me to say size 3. What does that mean? I suppose it's a size 3. Number 10. Flatulent Paramecium says, "They can withstand you lying on top of them." Apodrosa replied, "This made me laugh. I had a really petite girlfriend who always wanted me on top. I was really afraid I'd hurt her by lying on top of her, but on the contrary, it made her feel good. Seems it's like a weighted blanket comfort thing. I still have a hard time believing this to this day." Number 11. El Pumpkin 8217 says, "Men really do sit there and think about the most random things. You think they're mad at you, but they're seriously just contemplating what would happen if oxygen just suddenly disappeared for a brief moment." Siggy Dude replied, "For me it's more that I am thinking of something, but when someone wants to shine a light on what's going on in my head, the thoughts scatter like cockroaches. That's hilariously relatable. Somehow being outright asked is the equivalent to being memory flashed like in MIB. Number 12. Manzari says, men don't care about the size of boobs half as much as I, female, thought they do. Lanks Wongwiki replied, every man's favorite boob size is whichever ones are right in front of him. Number 13. Big Loser 42 says, vaginas are farther down than I expected. Pooltoy Fox 2 replied, definitely. I always assumed they'd be where dicks are. I never knew how doing it from behind was physically possible. Number 13. Men are incredibly emotional humans in a way that deserves so much showing up for in gentleness. I used to believe the stereotypes and didn't always hold space for men to bring their emotions. But once I began clocking into how some men show up in their emotions, I was able to see how awesome they are in that space. Number 14. HG21 Reaper says, the amount of hair they shed is astounding. JHR Christ replied, I have extremely thick, almost waist-length hair, and it's genuinely upsetting to everyone involved how much hair I shed in the shower or while brushing it. One of the many reasons I only wash my hair twice a week. I'm not emotionally equipped to handle that on a daily basis. Number 15. Madam Mary's Grouch says, that guys don't talk about their sex life with each other. I grew up watching all these movies where guys were in locker rooms describing their sexual encounters. So, I thought all guys did this. I was surprised to find out that they hardly ever do this, and a lot don't want you discussing it at all with anyone. Prize Week 6196 replied, yeah, I was with friends at the lake for 2 weeks. Basically, male gathering. There were wives and kids coming during the day, but late evenings and nights was typical drinking, fire pit, and bullshit. One of us is going through painful separation. It's bad for both sides. When I came back home, my wife asked me about that breakup and what that friend was talking about, and I had no answer. She could not understand we do not talk about it and thinks I am just hiding it for myself. She is not really the type that would pass it to anybody, but she was curious as we both know them for a long time. We never talked about it despite being close friends since childhood. None of us asked. It was all bullshit, fishing, old-time stories, and fucking latest stupid memes or quotes from old movies. And sex. I think I last talked about it with my mates when I was maybe 17. Gulbasaur replied, paraphrasing some men's mental health charity here. But there's some truth to the idea that women talk face to face and men talk shoulder to shoulder. A lot of the deep and meaningful conversations I've had with other men were while engaged in an activity. Talking face to face can feel confrontational, while having a distraction can allow men to open up. For a lot of men, a social event isn't the time or place to open up. Painting a fence, on the other hand, means you can just talk while you work. Sex, though, is usually off the table. That's private between you and your partner. BTWOMFGSTFU also replied, I'm not sure where this fits in here, but I recently started dating a guy maybe 4 months ago, and life just got hard for both of us. My stepfather died very suddenly from cancer, and my entire living situation is up in the air, and he's helping me empty out my storage unit. And last night, my boyfriend had to put his dog down. He had this dog since it was a puppy. It was only 9, and he brought it to his normal vet several times with the suspicion of liver failure, and they just wanted more and more tests. And he watched his baby boy go downhill so fast. He brought him to a 24 hours animal hospital, and they immediately told him liver cancer, and he made the decision right then and there. It was the right decision. Tore him the fuck up. He told me all about it while we unloaded all my stuff from his truck. Not really making eye contact, just talking and doing. We stopped for a second, and I give him a long, long hug, and he sunk in and just sobbed. When he pulled away, he was trying to hide tears, but fuck it, dude, you just had to put your best friend down, so I pulled him in again and he used my shoulder. I guess women feel okay openly crying. I certainly do. No one is surprised if I get sad about a dog dying, but this man needed a hug and a shoulder. Afterwards, he quickly cleaned up his snot and tears, and we continued to talk about how life is just so fucking unfair sometimes. But not face to face, side by side, looking at the rain and all the work we got done. Men are interesting. I think I love this one. Rip Chewy, you were the best boy. Number 16. Reception Intrepid 331 says, I recently learned that there is apparently a large subsection of women that do not know you cannot flush tampon. I really thought this was common knowledge, as I have seen the signs in every unisex bathroom I have been in that say do not flush hygiene products. It seems to me that even if no one told you not to do this, the regular plumbing issues you must encounter would correct the problem on its own. Seems wild to me. Flinkle replied. Oh God. Back when I was a kid, probably in the mid-80s and before they had those warnings, we had a toilet clog that my mom couldn't plunge loose. So, she called the plumber. I say the plumber because we lived in a town so small that we all only had one plumber. As it turned out, the clog wound up being at a pipe junction down from the toilet, in the yard. Huge deal. And as my mom went out there to check with the plumber to see what was up, he reached down into the hole he dug and held up a huge handful of tampons that had been lodged in the pipe. He said, "You see these things. I know they say you can flush them, but you can't. So don't flush them anymore unless you want to keep giving me money." My very easily embarrassed mother was utterly horrified. It's a wonder she didn't drop dead. Number 17. Riza Docutist says that men and women have hairy ass and butthole. Alax SCH replied, I was taking a shower with my BF the other day and started shaving there. He asked, "Why are you shaving your butt?" I replied, "Why do you think?" He told me he never knew women grew hair there. He's 27. Number 18. True Pays says, men get instantly hard in the morning for no reason. Brandon Schewel replied, I think it happens to us when we go through a certain stage of the REM cycle. It can sometimes happen during naps, which makes sleeping in public places, like a plane, a little scary depending on how structurally sound your clothes are. Number 19. Apprehensive Hall 254 says, if you treat them right, they will take care of you when you're disgusting. I can't get off the pot right now and we're a little scared we might have to call an ambulance. She brought me a small glass of wine, a water bottle, and some crackers. She's sitting by the door. That's love. Update. I couldn't pee and it was hurting, but I'm okay now. Number 20. XO Fierce Siren XO says, they are still attracted to women after they have children, get older, etc. I spent all my teens and 20s completely nervous that I was not attractive enough, and completely insecure after I had kids, only to find out men don't care about stretch marks, gray hair, or a little bit of a soft tummy. Men dig confident and happy women. The stuff we are insecure about does not stop them from thinking we are sexy. Such a revelation. Number 21. The lack of guys in child-centered roles, especially roles involving young children due to their fear of being accused or perceived as a creep, is a real shame and disservice to our young. The first job I had was working as a daycare assistant while in high school. My guy friend worked at the same place. He wasn't allowed to change diapers, clothes, or hug and comfort kids, though only girls or women were allowed. We were both deeply offended by the implication that he couldn't be trusted to perform the same job as me because he might do something sick. I felt valued as an employee, but he felt like he had a target on his back. Is this the message we want to send to boys? And why perpetuate the societal expectation that females need to handle more childcare tasks than males? I've babysat for a ton of different families over the years. The blind trust some parents have in me just because I'm a woman is bewildering. Strangers have literally handed me their kid without batting an eye. Male babysitters are pretty much non-existent aside from the occasional family member or maybe a close family friend. And even if those boys or men are available and willing to babysit, there's a very high chance that a female family member or close family friend will be chosen instead, if possible. I was a teacher for a while, too. In many instances, female teachers are given much more leeway when it comes to how they interact with boy students compared to how male teachers interact with girl students. My ex was a teacher as well and felt like he had to walk on eggshells. I didn't. A whopping 77% of all K-12 public school teachers in the U.S. are women. My guy cousin is a kindergarten teacher. He's a unicorn. Only 11% of public elementary school teachers in the U.S. are men. I'd love to see more men working in child-centered professions. Kids benefit from having a heterogeneous mix of caretakers, adults in their lives. Men who are interested in enriching a child's life deserve to do so without being made to feel like a freaking weirdo for no reason aside from being men. External Area 6285 replied, I have a relative that is a male elementary teacher and has cameras in his classroom. Those cameras have saved him on 4 separate occasions from false accusations and countless times of people accusing him of stuff that, if he were a woman, nobody would think twice about. That's a scary fact. I think the fear of false accusation alone is enough to warrant most guys not being comfortable expressing any sort of affection around kids these days. Asulax replied, this is accurate. I considered going into teaching when I was a bit younger, but an incident happened at my school. A janitor was accused of inappropriate actions with a student. As the whole thing unraveled, it turned out that nothing had happened at all and the girl had made it up to get out of a school trip, or Girl Guides, basically scouts for girls back then. The caretaker was in his 60s, lived local to the school and was a really kind person, volunteered for lots of things in the school and nearby community, and even headed up the scout troop, which, I guess, added fuel to the accusations as this was a good 25 plus years ago. He was a staple at the school and well respected by staff and students. He was basically just making his retirement years interesting, and then this accusation completely ruined his life. As it was all proven to be completely false, the school were happy for him to continue working there, but he couldn't bring himself to come back as he knows that there will always be suspicion and wariness from people around him and he'd never really be fully trusted. Same with the scout troop, he quit that too. The two biggest activities in this man's life were taken from him all because some girl didn't want to go on a trip, and didn't want to tell that to her parents. This upsets me even to this day, and I'm always very aware of making sure that there's another person present if ever I'm interacting with a child. Obviously, I'd never actually do anything as it's sickening. But a life can be completely ruined by a false accusation, and I'm not willing to take that risk. Number 22. Stud Muffin Nick says, my contribution is that women out of your league may not be looking for some Andrew Tate alpha male who drinks bull piss and gets into fights. She may actually have a crush on you and be just as shy to approach as you are. Imagine my shock when I was on a manic high and spoke to a woman I knew would never associate with my ass, and she was the exact type of person I was looking for and I happened to be the exact type she was looking for. Next month will be 12 years of marriage. Altruistic Yellow 387 replied. Majority of women don't want anyone like Andrew Tate. Only massive idiots think Andrew Tate is some kind of an alpha male. Same way as idiots think Trump is an amazing businessman. Number 23. Count Thermula says, took me a couple years of marriage to realize, but for women crossing 2 to 3 things off their to-do list equals foreplay. Shaggy Ninja replied, I believe the term is chore play. Fury is Blind also replied, this one seems to dumbfound a lot of men, ex-husband included, which confuses me because it seems so obvious as a woman, although I admit that I had a lot of trouble articulating it for a long time. It's a combination of 3 things. A. Mental burden reduction. If I have less things to worry about and do, I'm more likely to think about sex. B. Being a team, we both contribute to the day-to-day running of the household. Consequently, when this lacks, I feel burdened, resentment grows, I don't feel appreciated, that decreases attraction. C. Not adding burden in daily life. If I have to clean up after you like a child, I will think of you as one. If you can't flush a toilet or take out the trash without me nagging like I'm your mother, that decreases attraction. It's not chores equals sex. It's about being an adult and a supportive partner who appreciates the other. I'm in the middle of a divorce and my new boyfriend actually cleans up after himself and does things without having to be reminded or nagged. He looked at me like I was crazy when I was like, wow, you rinse your dishes. And wow, you fixed that broken thing within 48 hours. I was amazed by these most basic things because I just didn't think men were capable of that. Edit, so many comments. Guys, there are many reasons your sex life with your wife may be lacking or absent. This is just one possible cause. Number 24. Love Alert 911 says, I believe it was learning that women actually desire sex just like guys. For some reason, while growing up, many guys are under the impression they have to try to figure out how to get women to have sex. Women get horny and masturbate too. Not my name actually replied. As a woman, I think women are generally just more particular. If a man has sex, he's usually going to come, even if the woman isn't very good at sex. But most women need more than just the penis going in and out in order to orgasm. Plus, there's also not knowing if a guy is dangerous or not, so she's not just looking for a reasonably attractive, willing partner. She's trying to find someone who is willing, attractive, safe, and it seems as interested in her pleasure as much as his own. In summary, women would rather have no sex than have bad sex. Men would rather have bad sex than have no sex. Number 25. Cocaine and Caviar says, women can talk about their problems for hours with no intention of looking for a solution. They just want you to listen, not fix it. Number 26. Kilt Slap says, men often like to sort out a problem as quickly as possible so they can go back to thinking about nothing. A pretty wild selection of stories today. If you're brave enough, share yours along with your thoughts in the comments section below. As always, thank you for listening. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on future episodes.